Get in. Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. This grin is not going to disappear for a little while. Chelsea have pulled out of the Super League. It was a monumental night for football last night. And when I say a monumental night for football, football as it should be known, football as it has always been known historically about the fans. It doesn't matter what is in your bank account. It doesn't matter what you're going to offer us, because the passion, the drive and the determination to save the sport that we know will always prevail, and it certainly did so last night. So welcome back to the George Benson football channel. Subscribe if you're new. This is a special edition, 6 things we learned. Chelsea 0, Brighton 0 last night. I'm sorry, but considering the other news that went on, despite there being a football game last night, there's only one topic of the conversation today, and it's 6 things that we learned from Chelsea versus the Super League, because despite it absolutely breaking our hearts, I'd say that we've defeated it. And I'm going to talk about 6 different points today, and I guess you could say 6 different stakeholders in this whole thing who have affected everything, and what it means for not just us, but for Chelsea moving forward and for football moving forward. But the first thing that I want to say is, you know, social media, it gets a lot of stick, you know. There are some people, even now, match-going fans, they hate people like myself, you know, people that go to games and do a vlog, or people who make videos and profit from the football club, which, you know, I think it's actually a beautiful thing that, at least for me, for example, it's now my job. But overall, on social media, the response that was given as soon as we found out that Chelsea had joined the Super League, the uproar was absolutely massive. And what it did is it sparked all of the scenes that we saw yesterday. Without social media and without the Chelsea presence and the presence of football fans on these platforms, what we saw outside Stamford Bridge yesterday, which really was the tipping point, Chelsea fans and football fans all over London, all over the world, the fact that we voiced our opinions in such a gargantuan, monumental way is the reason why we've been able to topple these footballing billionaires. They're not even footballing billionaires, they're just billionaires who invested in football because they saw it as their opportunity to make some more money, because the beauty and the value in our sport is so high that these businessmen and women, they come in and think they can do whatever they want with it without even knowing what it's all about. They don't even know it's 11 versus 11, some of these absolute numpties. But overall, it is obviously a green box for the global reaction in such a time where, you know, we're actually designed as humans at the moment to be very passive creatures. And I don't want to make this a political speech, because this is about the football. But so many of us as human beings, we've become so passive. We've become so reluctant to really stand up for what we care for, to stand up for what actually means something to us as individuals, because society is being pushed together into little clumps where we're designed to follow, we're designed to listen and believe everything we're told. But this Super League was something that the majority of caring, passionate football fans all over the globe turned around and said, you know what, this isn't football. This isn't about football. We don't care about making Barcelona, Real Madrid a bi-weekly thing. We enjoy the balance in football of knowing that one day you're going to be playing a team who are bottom of the table and you might lose, because that is the beauty of the sport. It doesn't mean you're happy about it as the fan of the team that loses, but you build up to these big games. You know, if we were playing Tottenham in a derby every other week, I'd stop singing about how much I hate them, because I get bored. Well, maybe I wouldn't get bored about singing about how much I hate Tottenham, but it would become boring and it wouldn't be football as we love it and as we know. I've got bugs flying all over me here. So we move into box number 2, and I wanted to really dedicate a whole third of this video. So box number 2 is a green, once again, specifically for you lot, and I'm talking directly at you guys who went down to Stamford Bridge last night to actively protest. The videos, I mean, I've missed being at Stamford Bridge. I've missed going to the football myself. But I think above all else, I've just missed that noise of hearing Chelsea chants. And what people did last night wasn't go down there and destroy everything. I don't actually know if anyone broke anything or if there was a bit of a mess afterwards, but I mean, come on, like, it's a bloody festival. It's a celebration. We did it. We toppled them. We beat them. Last night, every single person that went down to Stamford Bridge, absolute credit to you. because Chelsea playing Brighton last night was actually a blessing in disguise. The fact the game finished 0-0 is not the most important thing. What that game meant is that people were going to be inside the stadium, people that needed to see the impact that this has had in, like, through their very eyes, not just through a Twitter feed, not just through an Instagram comment saying #no to European Super League, which I've been commenting on every single Chelsea post ever since Sunday. But the fact that you lot made it down there and made such a noise, made it so clear that this is our club, that this is our football club, and we don't want to be put into this business conglomerate that monopolises the sport that we love, that completely jeopardises the entire footballing pyramid to sink us into a feelingless, emotionless state, and it becomes something that isn't a sport. So it is a green box to every single one of you who made it down to Stamford Bridge last night. I literally woke up this morning, I had tears in my eyes. I swear to God. When I saw that, I was so gutted that I couldn't be there, because even if I wanted to, there wasn't enough time for me to even fly the other side of the world. It isn't actually physically possible. By the time that I knew that it was actually possible to go to Stamford Bridge, do this protest, make a difference, put that last final push towards adding that nail into the coffin of this Super League, for Chelsea at least, it was an absolutely beautiful thing to see, seeing everyone singing, seeing all the banners, seeing the posters, seeing Petr Cech come out, which obviously was something to do with the players, and the Brighton players couldn't actually arrive at Stamford Bridge, which is a big problem when you've got a football game to play. So he was trying to come out and kind of bridge the gap, be like a peacemaker in the situation. But we didn't stop. We rallied, and I'm incredibly proud of what I saw last night from each and every one of you who was there. So a massive thank you from the bottom of my heart. We move into box number 3, and it is a yellow box for Mr. Roman Abramovich, a man who I will be eternally grateful for as a Chelsea fan, because even though people say that we're a club with no history, we were nothing before Big Roman came in with his money, spent a load of money, we win the Premier League. That isn't true. We won trophies before that. However, what we have done is become an elite European powerhouse in football, where we've won countless Premier Leagues, countless FA Cups, Carabao Cups, the Champions League, Europa Leagues. And without Roman Abramovich, that wouldn't have been possible, I do not believe. So, Roman, thank you for everything that you've done. The reason you're a yellow box is because I totally understand the standpoint where Chelsea would have been pushed into a corner, backed into a corner, and with everybody else joining the Super League, Chelsea was supposedly the reluctant ones throughout this whole thing, where we didn't really want to do it, but through fear of being left behind financially and what it would have meant for Chelsea to not be competing with these big boys, it would have put us further down in the footballing pyramid, which is never a good business model to accept. However, the fact that we joined it frustrated so many people, because above all else, I think every single one of us watching this video now, well, I say that, I speak for myself only here, but I'm sure for a lot of you as well, I would rather never see Chelsea, well, I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'd rather never see us win something for a long flipping time. But as long as football's not ruined by a bunch of rich geezers at the very top, I would save the sport to be able to enjoy week by week what I love about the sport, but not win a trophy again. I know that's a really stupid thing to say, but I think you understand what I mean. I'd rather save football than join this flipping Super League. And Roman, the fact that you changed your mind, the Chelsea board, the fact you changed your minds, you came out. I'm not actually sure if there is a direct apology yet for all of this, because, you know, it's put people in a huge state after seeing all of this. But the fact they pulled out, and they were one of the leading clubs to actually do so, they were the first club last night, Chelsea, to pull out, spark Man City and the rest of them to do the same. Credit, you know, sometimes it takes a lot to stand up, swallow, eat a flipping slice of humble pie, as I always say here on GBFC, and admit that the decision that you made to put us here in the first place was not one that benefited Chelsea Football Club. So the fact they've come out and done that is actually brilliant news. So it's a yellow for Roman. We didn't want to go there in the first place. Understand kind of why we needed to, but great job on pulling us out and doing it in a way that didn't drag on. We didn't wait and see if the shitstorm would have died down from Chelsea fans and global football fans. We just did it. We knew that it wasn't the right thing to do, and we moved, and that is exactly what we all wish to see. We move into box number 4, and box number 4 is for UEFA. Now, throughout this whole thing, it's kind of gone under the radar because the key attention has been to stop the Super League. And a lot of us, including myself, have forgotten at times to really think about why some of these very rich football clubs have actually gone for this kind of process in the first place. And the reason for it is because over the years, there's been so much bullshit from UEFA, so much disparity and lack of clarity from UEFA in terms of how they structure their financial payments and bonuses for winning their competitions. We know there is a lot of money in UEFA, and these big clubs have been asking for a very long time for the financial reform to happen in order to benefit these richer clubs to earn the money that they believe they deserve. There's been so much corruption and so much under the table, just fabrication of the real truth from UEFA over the years, that despite all of this being very much like we still want our teams to be involved with UEFA, it's been all about the Super League. But UEFA, it's a red box, because the way that you've dealt with things, same as the Premier League. Lawrence McKenna did an incredible piece about how the actual Premier League are the ones who started this 30 years ago when they decided to move themselves away from the rest of the Football League. And then 30 years later, sorry guys, the camera died, I'm gonna have to switch to my phone. 30 years later, it's kind of come back to bite the Premier League in the backside, where it looked for a moment as though they were going to lose their top 6 clubs, and then some of the other European leagues were going to lose some of their top clubs as well. So no one is a saint in this. In football, there is still so much that needs to be done. We need to really work on kicking out racism. If we can put even half of the energy that we have globally put into eliminating this Super League, into eliminating racism from our game, I know it's a much tougher thing, and it's a lot more deeper rooted an issue that we really need to focus on. But as football fans, we need to use this victory that we have from the Super League being cancelled, from Chelsea pulling out, from the English clubs pulling out, and we need to use this momentum and this realisation that actually, even though as fans we know in the bigger picture of, you know, the deals that are going to happen and the changes that will inevitably happen in football, we still have an incredibly big say in this. And the actions of the past few days, be it on social media, outside of Stamford Bridge last night, it proves that we are still the driving force behind what makes this sport exactly what it is. Without football and without fans, there is no football. And without us, there's no passion, there's no love, there's no excitement, there's no narrative. And I think that is the biggest takeaway that I can take from this whole experience. But we got what we wanted, even though it looked at one point as though it was not going to happen. But it shows that when you really gather and rally together, we can make stuff happen. So it is a red box in box number 4 for UEFA, and box number 5 is another red. And it's just for the whole flipping thing in general, you know. Florentino Perez, the Juventus executive, the way that this has been dealt with and the way that these people have spoken about football, for me, is absolutely disgraceful. It's absolutely disgusting. You look outside Stamford Bridge last night, and from what I saw in the videos and the photos, it looked to me as though a lot of the people there were averaged about 16 to 24 years old, which according to Florentino Perez, one of the richest men in the game, at Real Madrid, 900 million in debt. We want to make a Super League. We got to sort our cash flow out. Piss off, mate. You know nothing about football. You do not have the right to stand there and say that, oh, 16 to 24 year olds are bored of football, they're not excited, we want it reformed. You know absolutely nothing. So don't you dare ever again in the future try and come up with this little funny idea to line your pocket with a bit more cash because you do not know how to run your football club properly. Never, ever again try and tread on the toes of the sport that we love, because we will come back once again the way that we did here. You will not win. We will revolt. We will go outside stadiums. We will protest long into the night to make sure that this never, ever happens again. I move into box number 6, and it is a yellow, and it's based entirely off the point I just made, that the future of football is still not safe. This is a massive victory for today. It's a massive victory that will mean that this Super League does not happen right now. But be very aware that this will come up again in the future. If UEFA don't reform the way that the big clubs need, and in a way where it's very clear, where there isn't anything hidden from us as football fans and football clubs and everything alike, this will happen again. This will raise its head again, and in maybe a couple of years or 5 years or 10 years, when the money in the game continues to rise, there is going to be moments where teams like Real Madrid, Manchester United, they try again to make something which will globalise this sport on a level of franchise which will harm our clubs again. Now, just because right now we've all stopped and realised that the history of our clubs is actually the most important thing that there will ever be on a day-to-day basis. The fact that we have this, the fact that we still have a say in what our clubs are, in who we are, what the name of our club are, what our badge is, it doesn't mean to say that we've got to stop now. It means we carry on fighting to make things clearer, to make sure that people aren't left in the dark about facts, about money. And we've got to make sure that we keep on it, because eventually Real Madrid, teams like this, they're going to come knocking on the door again. They're going to remind us that, you know what, 900 million in debt, we need to do a flipping Super League, please. Piss off, stay out of it. And I hope that what we've experienced, which has been absolute chaos, mental chaos, emotional chaos, physical chaos for a lot of us, in the last few days with this Super League ordeal, remember how this feels. Remember how this victory of our club taking us away from this Super League in order to save the history of our club and our sport. Remember how this victory feels, and know that we may just have to do something along these lines again in the future when the rich and the greedy come banging on our doors, and they will come knocking harder. So, with that being said, I'm going to take a walk, pick up the dead camera battery because it's so bloody hot here in Bali. It's about 36 degrees today, and I've come out, which is an absolute nonsense idea, to do some videos for you lot in a field full of bloody cows. But that is the life that we live. I want to say a massive thank you for all the support. I want to say a massive thank you again to all of those individuals who went out last night to Stamford Bridge. You're all heroes, seriously. You didn't just save Chelsea, you saved football. So you should be proud of yourselves. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. I hope that over the course of the next few days, we can understand a little bit more about any penalties or fines or, you know, bans that Chelsea might get from both the Premier League and the Champions League for all of this stuff. And of course, GBFC will be the place where you guys can find out the news, find out the latest, as well as my opinions on the matters at hand. So yeah, I want to say a big thank you once again to all of you. I love you all. Come on, you Blues.